boss wouldn't pay me the money I earned, so I had his company shut down. Last year, I started working for a local plumbing company that seemed promising. Would pay top dollar to employees for good old-fashioned labor, so I signed my W-2 and went on my way. Seems legit, right? I started out making an hourly wage, was given my own work van, and was offered a work cell phone. However, if you use your personal cell phone, the owner of the company would pay your bill because you're using your own phone. How neat is that? Fast forward a month or two. I was forced to make commission based off of every job, and I didn't have a say in this. But 20% of every job you go to? Hell, that's a lot of money in plumbing. So I was none the wiser. Eventually, I found out that my paychecks weren't having any taxes taken out of them. So I asked my boss, why am I not having taxes taken out of my check? To which he replied, when we switch you to commission, you're a subcontractor now. You're 1099. You're going to be making so much bank now, bro. Didn't sign a 1099 form, but okay. As the time went on, I started working 90-hour weeks with no break. If my phone was turned off and the office folk tried to reach me and couldn't, they would take money out of my paycheck. The phone bill? Never got paid. There would be days where I wouldn't make a single dime because the boss would mess something up in our system. We also had no heat in our vans, and when it got to minus 14 degrees outside, his words to us were, go buy a blanket. I can't afford repairs like this right now. While he's in Florida on a cruise with his whole family. So like anyone else, I just up and quit. Screw that. When I left, I asked for my checks. I was owed 3 of them for the weeks I worked, but my boss wasn't ready to give them up yet. You screwed me over, and now I'm going to screw you over, he said when I asked why he wasn't going to pay me. I offered multiple times for him to just meet me, so this wouldn't have to go any further. He refused. I took to r/legal advice, and that's what I should do. The responses led me to Laura, Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, to file a wage claim to get my money. But on top of that, I filed a report with them stating the company doesn't pull permits, which is required to do when replacing people's plumbing. So they sent over an investigator to check these claims out. I then went to the IRS to find out about this whole tax ordeal. I filed the proper paperwork to have the IRS check and see if I was misclassified as a 1099 employee when I should have been a W-2 employee since they weren't taking taxes out. Sure as hell, I was wrongfully not getting taxes taken out of my checks, so the IRS sent an investigator of their own. Now at this point, I see on my phone that I still have their email address linked to my Google account, so I do some snooping. It turns out they haven't paid city taxes in over 6 years, and that the office manager, a woman who has verbally abused me time and time again, collects disability through the state, but still collects a $1,000 paycheck from the company every week. You can bet ass I sent that in with the IRS. Screenshots included in my email. This is how it all unfolded. I have a friend that still works, or rather worked for them at the time, and he told me about the investigators coming in. Laura fined them upwards of $50,000 for failing to produce the proper permits for work that was performed. They also paid me what the company owed me, with interest, since I waited over a month for those checks. On top of all this, the IRS made them pay for my taxes at the end of the year, took away the office manager's disability, audited them because they haven't paid city taxes, and fined them for each employee they did this to. At this time as well, all of his fleet vans broke due to wear and tear. This resulted in the company closing. When he asked me why I did all of this, my response was simply, you screwed me over, so I screwed you over. I'm sorry you had to go through all of that. You were just doing your job, and for the company to do what they did was horrible. I hope you find a new job soon that treats you better. But if not, I hope you're able to land on your feet. This company sounds like they are scumbags, and I'm glad that karma has come back around and screwed them over. It was only a matter of time. Entitled boss told me I was replaceable, then begged me to stay when I quit. This was my 8th job ever, so dealing with bad managers and bosses was the norm for me at this point. However, this boss was without a doubt the worst boss I have ever had and most likely will ever have. To set the scene, I'll just go over a few of the things that happened in the 10 months I was there working for him. I was really desperate for cash. I applied for a cook position, but was put as a dishwasher after being told that I was being hired as kitchen help staff. Everyone that worked in the back kitchen area got small bonuses every check, usually only $75 to $150 every 2 weeks, to kind of balance out the low wages we got. After 2 months of not receiving any bonuses, I asked my boss about it and he said he would give me bonuses when I improved my job performance. Again, all I did for 2 months was wash dishes. I never got any bonuses. However, I did take the initiative and came in on days off and stayed overtime to learn how to be one of the prep cooks. After 5 weeks of this unpaid work, I was only put as a secondary backup if someone didn't show up or needed backup for the night. Now these are just some of the most prominent examples, and there are literally hundreds of more reasons why I did this, but without a doubt, I did this because every chance he got, he would call all of his staff mother truckers including me. This made him an extremely toxic person to be around and made staff quit faster than a revolving door can spin. Me, my best friend, and our kitchen manager were the only employees who stayed longer than 3 months. My best friend puts in his 2-week notice and already has a job lined up. He offers me a job there as well since he has worked there for longer than I had and knew how much I wanted to leave but didn't have anything else. I was going to take the job, but didn't want to leave our kitchen with literally 5 times the workload, as both me and my buddy pulled more than 2 people's workloads individually. Anyways, my buddy puts in his 2-week notice, and 4 days later, after considering buddy's offer, I text my boss on my day off. I won't say word for word what I said, but the gist was, buddy is leaving, so to compensate for his absence, I want to get paid $1 more. I only made $8 an hour. I don't get a response from him, and the next morning, me and buddy have a 6-hour shift together. After 2 hours, our boss came in and interrupted a conversation we were having to tell us something. The following conversation went as follows. Boss, buddy, look at what this mother trucker texted me last night. Starts laughing as he pulls out his phone. Buddy, I don't want to know. That's not my business. Boss, mother trucker, just read what he sent me. Almost dying laughing. Me, I don't think that's any of his business what I sent you. Boss, he said he deserves a raise. Tell you what, since you think you can demand a raise and try and back me into a corner, I'll just have to hire someone new and you'll have to share your hours with him. How's that sound, mother trucker? You are easily replaceable and I can find someone that can do your job within a day. Me, trying not to strangle him through gritted teeth. That's fine. I hope the new hires do well. Boss leaves. After this, me and Buddy talked about how messed up what just happened was, and it made my mind up that I would be leaving as soon as I could. My kitchen manager told me he quit in January to do construction, so my ex-boss will be very busy with one part-time student trying to run the back. It usually takes 3 to 6 people to run the back area on a busy night. When I went to get my final check, my ex-boss begged for 30 seconds to hire me back. When I told him I had another job and wouldn't do it, he said that I didn't have what it took to make it, and I quote directly from him, "You'll be fired within a week. I'm trying to save you, mother trucker." I laughed super hard as I walked out the door. Right before it closed, I yelled in front of a bunch of different customers, a lot of whom I knew personally and were frequent buyers. "Good luck with that rat infestation, mother trucker." The cherry on top of everything was that 8 different people from cooks to servers all quit the same week when they heard we left because we made it manageable to be there because we were basically really cool managers. I'm glad you had the balls to quit. I mean, it sounds like you were going to end up killing someone if you stayed there any longer. I don't know how anyone could work in a place where the boss is that incompetent and or crazy. He can't even run a business without firing his employees for petty reasons. If I were you, I would have left after he told you that you don't deserve the bonus pay. That's just not right. He sounds like an absolute psychopath. You demanded my entire team be at the office for the 4th of July. Fine. Enjoy paying for the office party. So this starts on Monday, the 13th, as I receive an email from a VP not over my department, or bad VP. I'm told that my team will be required on the 4th. I politely tell them no, that our team has been scheduled this day off and people already have plans. My team is the IT team, and as many of you know, IT team gets shafted every time it can get shafted by any company. So over the course of the week, I let my team know what is happening. I let them know I have been reaching out to higher ups to fix it. I also tell them that if their plans are ruined, I will make it right at work. After the course of 3 meetings, it starts to look like things will not go my way. In response, I sent an email to the CEO of the company. All of my higher-ups know I was going to do this and said I should do this as he is very family-oriented and that he would not allow anyone to work on a national holiday. Well, he's on vacation in the Bahamas until the 6th, but his assistant informed me he would look at this after he gets back. I repeatedly slam my head on the desk. So I tell everyone that it will be work from home and that we will be setting my cell phone as priority in the call routing, meaning I would get most of the calls. To be honest, I was expecting almost 0 calls, especially since I was asked to send out a notification that IT support would cover the 4th of July. I never sent that email out. A day later, I was given another outrage. I was told in an email that my employees would be required to be at the office, and no one was allowed to work from home. They would be checking the door badge ins to verify we were at the office. I asked why in an email, and they said that they wanted to make sure no one was playing video games at work. We normally work from home about 2/3 of the week, and video game playing is a normal occurrence at work. So I walked into the person's office. After a very long conversation where she was losing the logic war with me, she told me that, "It's just IT. You guys don't have lives." No, I'm not kidding you. This is exactly what they told me. I reported this to my VP who said, "I will take care of this. It likely won't be until after the 4th, so get creative." I know this man well. We have worked together a long time and get creative is code for corporate fuckery. I asked the person requiring us to be at the office if they cared if we had an office party. They said no, as long as it did not interfere with the call flow. Even suggested using my new company card to pay for it. Go wild! Pro tip, never tell me go wild. At this point, it was Tuesday the 21st. I let everyone know what's up, but that I have something planned. I asked who had things planned for that day. 2 people told me they were planning to shoot off fireworks with their family, but the rest were planning barbecues with friends. I write up an email to the VP over my department and the bad VP. I tell them all that I let everyone know. We all were expecting to work until 8 p.m. Monday. Per the conversation with the bad VP, I will be having an office party as a sort of sorry to the guys and gals who got shafted by this decision. The bad VP replied again, "Thank you for your understanding. Also, yes, I would expect an office party if I had to work on the 4th of July as well. So go wild and enjoy your time. Use your new company credit card if you need to cover a few expenses. Also, I should not have to remind you or anyone else. No fireworks or alcohol on company property." So now it is time to tell you about my office. See, a while back, the IT team was moved from the main corp office into a smaller building by itself. It had a nice gaming break room, a decent-sized gym, and a full-on drink bar. Soft drinks, mind you. No alcohol at work. Out back is a big patio that crosses county lines as soon as you cross a small creek. A creek that just so happens to have a footbridge over it, leading to an empty field. I start making phone calls. Monday, June the 25th. I call up everyone into an hour-early meeting that morning. I explain to them all that I will be making it right. I ask everyone to invite their friends and family to the office. No supplies will be needed to be brought by anyone. I tell them all that this will be non-alcoholic, but that I will be planning something for everyone. I told them to expect all food to be provided and they don't need to bring anything, unless they want to bring some fireworks, i.e., they won't have to spend a dime. The 4th comes and the entire day we did absolutely no work. No tickets, no calls came in. Well, 7 calls did come in, but from the same person, the bad VP. She was calling to make sure we were manning the phones. All of us were playing video games or watching movies. 6 p.m. rolls around and everyone was told that the food was ready. People were expecting hot dogs, hamburgers, maybe a bratwurst or 2. What they got was a full-on barbecue feast with pizza and other foods. There was smoked brisket, spare ribs, smoked sausage, smoked turkey, both kinds of tater salad, coleslaw, green beans with bacon and onion, potatoes au gratin, pizza from 2 different places, excellent hamburgers, and bratwurst hot dogs. On the dessert side was cake, very good cookies, 4 different kinds of pies, and about 2 pounds of fudge. Families and friends started showing up at around 6 to 6:15-ish. Some brought alcohol, but I told them they would need to leave that in their cars as I was not that crazy. Some were not too happy about that, but agreed as it was a free dinner for random strangers. So, let me set the scene for you. I'm out there with all calls routed to my cell phone, and everyone just having a good time. We have a ton of people there just enjoying the fun night, chatting about random stuff, eating the food, and occasionally lighting off some sparklers or throwing firecrackers into the stream. It's not stocked, and only 1 foot deep. My VP, not the bad VP mind you, showed up with his family and brought some water balloons for the kids, and man-children. Around 8:30-ish, it's getting dark, and people want to shoot off more than the simple sparklers and firecrackers we had been using. The VP over the IT department had everyone cross the footbridge, over county line, and off company property, mind you, and we set up a big wooden board using it as our launch pad. We fired off what we had for an hour or 2, and sort of just hung out for a little while. At around this time, people were tired and ready to head home. I told people to take home leftovers, within reason. We all clocked out at 8, and no one left until about 10:30. The bad VP did call once more while we were out back at the party. It was 7:50 and she called asking for a status update. My exact words were, "Well, you were the only one to call us today. The rest of us are on the back patio enjoying the 4th of July shindig." She simply acted like my boss and said, "As long as no alcohol or fireworks on the company property, I do not care." We ate roughly half of the food catered. The rest was taken home. A small group volunteered to stay behind to clean up, including my VP. We had a funny conversation about how this will make waves with the bosses, but he said he had my back and asked me how much this cost. I just gave him a sideways look, which made him laugh. Tuesday morning, I submitted the expense report to my VP. This email would inevitably make its way over to the bad VP and up the chain to the CIO of the company. It would be a bad idea to give out the exact cost of the party, mind you, but I can tell you that because of this 4th of July party, new rules were put into place. Any expenses over $4K or more must be approved by the direct supervisor, VP over the department, and the full expense report must be sent to the financial department for review after the fact. Hint, the party cost over $6K. The barbecue was the most expensive part. I did not order from a low or mid-tier place. The place I ordered from has consistently been on the top 10 in the DFW listing for the last 30 years. I ate at that place so much, I made friends with the owner. The best barbecue I'd ever had. The pies and cakes were custom made by a bakery, and the cookies were made by a boutique cookie place. I had 10, 12 packs of Coke, Coke Zero, Dr. Pepper Zero, Pepsi, and Pepsi Zero. I bought 5 pepperoni, 5 sausage, 5 cheese, 2 Hawaiian, and cheeseburger pizzas from one place, and nearly the same number from another place. Excluding the cheeseburger ones, I subbed out those for a different specialty pizza from the other place. The burgers were from an excellent burger place that did catering. I know that owner well. He brought his kids for the night of fun after he heard what was going to be happening. He was also the one who brought the brat dogs, as he recently added those to his menu. This was the most expensive office party in the history of the company. The only things more expensive than this were some business meetings that the CEO rented private rooms in high-end restaurants for. As for the CEO, he was outraged. Not at the cost of the party, mind you. He knew that the party would not have been necessary if people had been allowed to go home. He was outraged that IT was the only group required to work on that day. When I submitted the log showing that we received no real phone calls, no service requests, and that we basically watched movies/played video games during our shift, he had heard enough. He apparently sent out a scathing email about work-life balance and the importance of our holidays to every upper management. It was kind of funny as people wanted to get me in trouble for what I did. But the reality is other departments have done similar things in the past, just not on the scale that IT did. The bad VP was admonished quite effectively and sent me an apology email. I forwarded it to the team with a strong hint to not reply. Then the VP let the CIO and the CEO know about what the bad VP said. You guys don't have lives. The bad VP did actually confirm she said it in a meeting with her EVP. It did not go over well. I've never heard people yelling in an office meeting like that before. The CEO of the company came to our office and yelled at her. Not sure if she is fired, but she is not at work today. In Active Directory, she does not have the down arrow of death, so not 100% what happened to her. I know she lost whatever clout she had at this company with her attitude. If anything more happens, I will update. But so far, it looks like the fallout from this is I caused a new rule to be put in place about how much you are allowed to spend at one time. The bad VP may or may not be let go/forced to resign. I know she got yelled at. Strangely, there's now no longer any pushback for my bid to get everyone back to working from home. I've got to say, I'm impressed with how you handled the situation. I think a lot of people would have been afraid to do what you did, and I think it was the right thing to do. What's even more impressive is that you somehow convinced all your coworkers to go along with it. That's a big deal, and shows how well-liked you are among your peers. Well done. Boss did not like the look of bulk mailing stamp, told me to remove it, cost the company over $220,000. Back in the 1980s, I worked for a sporting goods company as a catalog designer. Small company, privately owned. I was the entire advertising department. I created 4 catalogs a year. These were responsible for most of our mail order sales, pre-internet, to the tune of around $700,000 a year. We sent the catalogs via bulk mail using a mailing service. This let us send them for a much discounted rate. To do this required the use of a bulk mail permit and placing the permit info on the mailing area of the catalog. Technically, it's called a fiche. Enter a new boss. Call him Ron. I was number 1, the only one, in my department. For some reason, the company owner hired Ron as a favor to a friend. From day one, he was micromanaging, questioning everything, and screwing up my very tight schedule. This was before computers were common. Everything was by hand. Literally typing out copy and reducing it on a photocopier to fit. Developing the photo film myself, making prints, etc. The actual printer had to add screens to the photos so they'd print, burn metal plates, and so on. All time-consuming and expensive. Deadlines could not be missed, so I was stuck with several 16-hour days come crunch time. I was complaining to the owner, but he really couldn't care less. I really wanted to stick it to Ron, and the opportunity presented itself. Constant threads of "my way or you're fired" were getting to me. The latest pre-summer catalog was done. Summer was our big season. I had to give my mock-up, photocopied sheets stapled together, of the final catalog for his approval, a new step added after he demanded it. He looked at it and sent it back with several pointless revisions, and a note to remove that ugly permit box because it was not needed. Where he worked previously stuffed their mailers in envelopes. The envelopes had the fiche, but their mailer did this last step. I simply asked him to initial the changes, as this was the final approved version. It was going to the printer the next day. There was no time to check it again, so he did. I knew it would be a total mess, and it's something I would never have done in the past. 50,000 catalogs printed and shipped directly to the mailer. The day they arrive at the mailer, the boss gets a call from the sales rep. "We can't mail your catalogs." Boss storms into my area of the building and is literally screaming. Ron is now pissed and yelling at me, joined by the boss. I swear, spittle and froth, vein-bulging screaming. Minimum 2-week delay. Wasted money, lost sales. I explained what happened, the threat to fire me, and showed the owner the changes to the final copy, initialed by Ron. He was going to give Ron a second chance until the bill came in from the printer. They had to stamp 50,000 catalogs by hand. We had to rent their permit, since that's what was on their stamp. Rental and labor was almost $8,000. Adjusted for inflation, that's $20,000. Plus, our early summer sales boost was off by almost $50,000 from previous years, or $20,000 adjusted for inflation. Ron was fired. I was left alone after that. I think the thing that struck me the most was that you had no idea what you were doing when you started out. I can't imagine starting a business without knowing what I'm doing. And yet, there are many people who have done just that. It seems like your lack of knowledge about this specific industry forced you to think outside the box and come up with creative solutions to problems that someone with more experience might not have been able to solve. It really seems like this company was built on your willingness to try new things and learn as you go along. If you enjoyed these stories, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell. Check out the other videos on your screen right now. Otherwise, you're definitely the jerk.